Stuart.
Great, Ron. How are you? Good morning.
Stuart, good morning. Stuart's a long-time early morning riser, as well as somebody that lives our number two commitment, which is clarity in life by not drinking alcohol. I've known Stuart for a long time. I was trying to think this morning how like when I drank, or because we're like, I'm in a business where it's very social. You're out there drinking, right? And it's a habit. It's part of your life, and you don't feel pity on somebody that doesn't drink, but you're like, I don't know. It's almost like they have a social handicap, right? Like you're like, oh, they don't drink. Like you feel a little sorry for them. I was trying to think of the right word. I hadn't figured out the right word. It was like pity, or like think of them like, oh, they're special. Right? Meanwhile, you don't accept the fact that you risk all of these problems in that evening, drinking too much, any of the problems that can cause. And I talk about for this challenge, the clarity in life that you get from not having alcohol. And for me, the time was the huge thing. But you've been sober for how long?
So Ron, I quit drinking. I threw in the towel when I was 26 years old. I was actually a month shy of my 27th birthday, and I'm 50 now. So it's been 23 years.
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. It was, something that certainly changed my life. To your point, Ron, when I was in my late teens and early 20s, partying was like a big part of my life and a lot of my friends' lives, and it's what a lot of my life revolved around, quite honestly. I loved hanging out in bars and going out. It was a social thing.
Yeah.
But back then I couldn't have imagined life without being able to drink. It was a big part of my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
It was as big a part of my life as today, things like working out and, the disciplines that I have today. I was a very determined drinker, if you will.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I've seen you at 100 different events. Our industry is event driven, usually centered around alcohol, gatherings, things like that. And, where we would carry on into the evening and spend 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, you'd go home, you'd get some sleep, and you'd be up early the next morning, working out, doing work, getting basically about, combined next day and that evening, like a day and a half of time back in your calendar, across time. Like for me, I looked at it as 75 days where that night, 5, 6, 7 hours wasted. And then the next day was not good for anything meaningful other than just coasting through the day and, doing the basics. So the clarity you have in life to think through things and then get to the next level of like making better decisions, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it was a total mindset change. And I've watched, the program that you've put together, and I know we've talked a lot about the time, how you've calculated the time savings, just from the hours you spend, out drinking with friends, having a few glasses of wine at home, and you can't really do a whole lot else, or at least I couldn't when I drank. That was kind of, the main thing. And you're right. I didn't make great decisions when I was drinking. And it's not just the hours that I drank that I saved when I quit drinking. It was the quality of the hours in between. Right. So,
Yeah.
when I was 23, 24 years old, I can remember going into work. I had a great job. I was a controller for an engineering firm in my mid-20s. I had a lot of responsibility, but there were plenty of days where I'd get up and go to work and I had no business even being out of bed. So
Yeah.
my productivity was not great. I'd have to spend weekend hours a lot of times going into the office to make up for my lack of productivity during the week. So there were wasted hours. So it wasn't even just the hours that I was, drinking alcohol. It was all those in between hours too, where, like you said, the clarity and the productivity, the ability to be there for yourself, for your friends, your family.
Yeah.
It's all affected, even the in between hours. Yeah.
So, for somebody like me, just a bunch of years ago, 4 years ago, you accept, you don't even think about the time. It's just part of your life. It's a habit. You go out, you have dinner, drinks with dinner, drinks afterwards. Then that's where I was in the danger zone of having too many drinks and staying out late and not feeling great the next morning, because we had a blast. We always had fun. And I was fortunate. I didn't, you know, I didn't, I didn't get any DWIs or anything like that. I made it through life without anything drastic. But you always knew that if you were going to have problems in life, it was probably going to be when you were drinking, right? And you accept that. But for me, when I sat down and looked at the time, that was the thing that got me. I mean, I'm time drinking, time getting up early, time feeling better the next day, and being able to do all of that consistency, the compound effect, the consistency of that. So it's over 4 months of time. Like you look at that, like, and these are 4.75 months of, or it's basically 140. What was it? 142 days of 24-hour days back in your calendar when you need time and you're looking for it. And that's what most people won't even look at. They're like, this is just what we do. There's no way I can even, that's like sacred. That's part of me, right? And then God, for me, it was like I dropped it like that. And I've done it, I've done it a few times, but this time it was for good. So I'm with you, man.
It feels good. It feels good to get up every day and, not have a hangover. Um, you know, just, and like you said, the clarity, for me, my drinking went to another level. And, when I quit drinking, it wasn't because I did a calculation to see how many extra hours I would save in my day. It was because I needed to quit drinking. Right. I did get DWIs and I had some other, that's a story for a different day.
Yeah.
But what I found was it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I'm glad that I got to a point where I felt like I needed to quit drinking, for my life, because
Right.
it wound up being, everything, so many opportunities opened up from that. And building discipline into my life. I had no discipline when I was drinking. I just did it. I was one who never knew if I was going to go out and have 2 beers or 20 beers. So some people just wired differently for that. But again, that's a story for a different day. But it's like you said, the compound effect. You make these small changes in habits in my life, and those opened up different opportunities. I was working for an engineering firm as an accountant. After a couple of years of being sober, my world opened up. I started seeking different opportunities. That's when I got into the mortgage business. If I were still drinking, I wouldn't be able to be in the mortgage business. I would screw up people's loans, and people would probably be sitting at the settlement table waiting for Stuart's closing package because he was out drinking the night before. So, I'm a better, I'm better friend, better family member. My life is about helping others. And I've learned all that, through that process of just that one habit change of quitting alcohol.
Yeah. I mean, so our commitments in this challenge all are meaningful and thoughtful. The two big ones are the getting up early so that you can take that time and give it back to your family or give it back to your community or give it back to your friends and not waste time at the end of the day, which we're doing now. We're up early. We'll finish this call. We'll both, you have your routine. I have 3 hours of work I'm going to do. We've been getting crazy things done. And then the non-drinking part. So they're both dramatic for people that get up at 7:30 and drink, or get up at 8:30 or whatever it is. That's why we made it. I mean, that's why when I was thinking about this whole thing, let's make it into a challenge. People like a challenge. People like a crazy challenge. It's not crazy, but I know weeks into it. Well, a couple days into getting up early, you adjust. You're tired, you fall asleep, then you get up early, right? Like it's like a 3-day kind of adjustment. And if that's what you consider suffering, you're not going to go too far in life, because it's not really suffering, right? Like 3 days of feeling tired, drinking coffee, might take a nap in your office, right? Like it's like having jet lag. You would do it to go on a trip, and then the non-alcohol, you just stop it, and and then and then I'm like, hey, I used to like, like I would think of my friends that didn't drink and had to go home early, and they're like kind of special, like they
Yeah.
couldn't they couldn't succeed in this drinking game kind of thing, right? Like you almost, not pity, but like they just couldn't handle it. Poor guys. And now I'm like, hey man, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm part of your group. I get it. I feel, it's like all the like, I wrestled and I was an athlete in high school, and my brother was like, straight A's and like the smart kids, and now those all the smart kids are all making a ton of money, and back in high school, I wish I was in that group. Now, is it okay? Can I be in your group?
Yeah, right. Well, back to the beginning, Ron, of the call, when you were trying to find the words of how you feel about when you see people who are still living a lifestyle where drinking's a big part of it. And, whether it's you feel sorry for them. And, it's for me, it's really, I look at, I have friends, I have really good friends who still drink the way I did when I was in my 20s. And I watch how it.
I feel sorry for those people.
Yeah, and it's almost, for me, it's I want to shake them and say, hey, give stop drinking for a month, right? See how you feel, see how you feel after a month. Because I can see their careers aren't exactly like, I see them struggling at work a lot more than they should have to. They've missed opportunities, and I can see this, I can observe this, like I'm watching a television show with my friends, and their home life in some cases is just not as good. And I grew up with it in my household, and I know the impact that it has on the family and stuff like that. I mean, I know that you are, and I can tell anybody this with 100% certainty, that you're a much better dad, that you don't drink. You're more available to your son, right? So
I mean,
that's motivation alone right there.
I wasn't drinking. I quit drinking in November 15th, 2019, months before Jenny got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't, I quit, for writing this monster book. Then it was great to be supportive of her not drinking. The time, the only way I could really perform with him as a newborn and get my work done and get everything fit in was by 3 hours of work in the morning. And it's just like, great, you've seen all of Game of Thrones, or great, you've seen all of this or all of that. I haven't seen any of that stuff, but I'm excited to go back and watch that stuff at some point. I feel like I got years of good TV. It's not important to me. And then then once you perform, like you get work done. I mean, just there was a guy on yesterday. We looked at, he was starting at 5, and then he moved up a half hour, and then yesterday he said, it's really an hour. I wasn't even getting up at 5. I was actually getting up at, I was starting at 5:30, not 5. So 1 hour a day, that's 15 full days of time, or 45 8-hour days into your schedule that you're actually using for work instead of watching TV. It doesn't 1 hour a day doesn't sound like a lot, but when you count it up through the years, and he hasn't stopped. He's been here every morning. Like when I get off this call, I'll see everybody that did the attendance tracker, and every day it's growing. So it's pretty cool. It's really, really fun. But so what are you doing this morning?
So I'm going to work on a spreadsheet that I've been working on. So I didn't. So Wonderfly, this is a side venture that I started this year. I've got 2 gyms, actually, one in Arbutus and one in Timonium. We just opened the Timonium gym. You got to come check it out, Ron.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So still a full-time mortgage guy, and always will be. But I've got all this extra time now. I don't drink, so I can do other stuff. Right? Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm working on some projections for this year, and then today's not a gym day for me, so I'll probably be in the office by about 7:30. Just clearing out some emails from yesterday and starting to work on new business. Starting to get busy again. We had a little bit of a lull in December. January, the first couple weeks started out slow, but I feel like the market's really picking up. Hopefully you and your team are seeing that as well.
Yeah, we are. We're getting a lot of. I like a little bit of downtime. I mean,
Yeah.
we kill it. I mean, we don't post all over social media all the different awards that people get. Like we're all seeing right now, right? Like it's a pretty funny thing. But yeah, we had a great year. We always have had good years. I get so much implemented, and it's like taking a breather from the last couple of years. And the stuff we're working on and getting out there, it's been like I talked about it yesterday. I spent 5.5 months on pay-per-click ads. We got that really working really good. Our SEO, created 1,000 community pages, getting that optimized, our blogging, all that stuff, and amazing results. Our YouTube channel. So building all these columns, we got lean and mean with our team. We got our expenses to a place that makes sense. We got all the right people. We're growing slowly, smart. We're not in that volume race. We're in a consumer experience, like creating just a really, really good consumer experience, and then finding people that fit in with our core values and align, right? So for me, I went from growing. A lot of people see growth in agent count and volume. I see it in implementation and building out new columns of lead generation that are more evergreen and sustainable. It's almost like owning real estate versus renting a Zillow lead, right? So
Yep.
I could go on and on about this, but I'm excited to check out your gyms.
Yeah. It's 13,000 square foot facility. We actually do private parties and training and fitness. It's a unique model. I'll send you a link to it, and I would love to have you.
Is there a bar?
Say again?
Is there a bar there?
We actually have a bar. We don't have a liquor license, but we do 1-day liquor licenses for our parties. We do a lot of birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, you name it. We do bubble ball games. We do laser tag, virtual reality, all kinds of gaming. We do blacklight dodgeball. It's a lot of the party part of it revolves around games. And, we've got a separate room that's just for personal training and fitness. And then we've got a huge turf that takes up about a third of the space where we do a lot of the speed work and just where we host the parties and stuff. So yeah, it's
awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know we both got a lot of work. I love talking to guys like you because I'll be in conversation and they'll be like, "Oh, my car washes." They're high performing in their industry, and you're like, "Oh, your car washes," and they're like, "Yeah, I got 4 car washes." You're like, "Oh, okay, wow." And that's somebody that performs at a high level and has all the extra time that we have. You can do these little side things. And I would also say about alcohol, I loved drinking. If you can make it work in your life, more power to you. If you're looking for more time and you're stealing time to try and get to the next level of anything, like you should really consider, cutting it. It's huge. It's one of the biggest things in my life now that brings time back and time, clarity, the whole thing. So anything you want to part with?
Nope. Just like I said, if anybody's listening to this and they're thinking about trying to stop drinking, like I said, try it for 30 days or Ron's 90 days, and if you don't like it, then we'll refund your misery. We'll give it all back to you.
Yeah, 90 days, 90-day commitment. A lot of you guys have been on this since the beginning. Some of you guys just jumped on. It's a 90-day commitment for us. It might turn into a lifestyle. Stuart, always good to see you.
You too, Ron. Thanks for having me, bud.
Yeah, talk to you.